To get started, I will be using 1.5 pounds of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of salt, I'm using sea salt, 3 ounces of lard, 3 ounces of butter, and 1 cup of water, or 8 ounces of water. With my hands, I am going to add the sea salt to the flour and give it a good mix. I'd like to give a little disclaimer here. This is my first time doing a standing crust, so I had to wing it when it came to the recipe. I looked at a couple of blogs that had standing crust recipes, and I didn't have the exact measurements to use those recipes. So again, I kind of winged it and came up with my own. So I will put the links to the resources that I used to sort of come up with this recipe so you can check it out and maybe you can follow it. Now that the flour and salt are combined, I'm now going to take a small saucepan and mix and melt down the butter and lard into the 8 ounces of water. I'm going to be doing this on a medium-low heat. I really do not want to bring the liquid to a boil or even a simmer. I just want to allow the butter and lard to melt down. Now it will get hot, but I'm just going to take it off the heat right before simmering or boiling point. Okay, so now that it is all melted down, I'm going to add it into my flour mixture. And it is very hot, so I'm going to start off with a spoon, and then I'm going to go in with my hands and start to knead the mixture. Now, you want to be very careful, and if you just need to continue mixing until it cools off a bit, then do so. Everyone has a different tolerance of heat level that they can handle when kneading a dough. I'm going to knead this until it comes together. I really don't want to go crazy and knead for a long period of time. I just want the dough to come together. And if you haven't noticed, this is not your typical delicate, flaky, crusty, melt in your mouth pie crust. This crust has to stand alone without a pie dish. So you sort of want it to be tough and thick. Okay, so I'm done putting this together. Now I am just going to cut off 1/4 of this dough, and I'm going to reserve that in a bowl with a damp towel on top of it, and I'm just going to leave it at room temperature, and eventually I'm going to roll it out, and this is going to be the lid to the meat pie that I'm going to make later. And look out for that video. That video is going to show you what I use the standing crust for. Okay, so next I am now going to roll out my dough. And this recipe is enough to make an 8-inch standing crust with a lid. Okay, so I'm going to continue rolling this out, and I'm going to leave it fairly thick. Now, I didn't measure the thickness of the crust, but if I had to guess, it's probably in between 1/8 to 1/4 inch thickness. And when you're doing this, you want to leave it thick because it has to stand alone. You're not using a pie dish to hold it up as it's baking. And I'm going to show you the method that I used to create the shape of the standing pie crust. Okay, so here's the method that I decided to come up with to do this. I'm flouring the outer part of a cake pan. This is an 8-inch by 3-inch round cake pan. I'm going to basically drape the crust over this cake pan, pop it into the refrigerator, and allow it to set for an hour in the fridge. And of course, once I drape this over the cake pan, I'm going to adjust it, and then I'm going to trim off any overlapping edges just to give it a little bit more of a uniform crust. Now, another method you could use is actually placing this inside an 8-inch springform pan and baking it in a springform pan. But I really wanted to try doing a large standing crust meat pie. So this is why I'm doing it this way. Again, this is my first time doing it. This could totally fail, which that has happened to me before because I am no professional, but that has never stopped me from trying to create something that I wanted to try. Okay, so it has been an hour, and now I'm just going to line a baking sheet with parchment paper. And now this is my attempt to see if I can get this standing crust to work and come out of this cake pan. I'm just going to gently try to pull away some of the crust from the rim of the cake pan. And now I'm just going to take several cups of hot water, swish it around inside the cake pan, and this should allow the dough to slightly get a little warm and slip out of this cake tin. And now for the moment of truth. It worked! Here is my awesome standing crust. Now, I'll let you know later what it tastes like, but thus far, I like what I see. Now I'm going to roll out the extra dough that I reserved for the lid. And I kept this at room temperature, covered with a damp cloth. I did not place this in the refrigerator because that would have made it very hard to roll out. Okay, so now that the lid is rolled out, I'm just going to pop it on top of my meat pie. And if you want to see how this goes to this, then stick around for the end of this video. I'll leave the video icon you can click on and it'll take you straight there. So I hope you give this recipe a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching. Hey guys, you can click on the video icons for more recipes, or you can click on my picture icon to subscribe. Thanks for watching.